And our topic for tonight in organization and management is a new chapter, which is controlling. So our topic is about module number 18, which is management controls, methods and systems. So our quote of the day is from Tommy Lasorda. And according to him, management is like holding a dove in your hand. Squeeze it too hard and you kill it. Not hard enough and it flies away. So for the definition of controlling, so what is controlling? It is a function of management which helps to seek planned results from the subordinates, managers, and at all levels of an organization. Hindi lang po yung mga nasa baba, kundi every level of the organization is involved in this process. Planned results. Not just from the subordinates, not just from the low-end managers like a supervisor, not just the middle managers, but each level of the entire organization is involved in this such process. So it is the process of checking to determine whether or not plans are being adhered to, whether or not proper progress is being made towards the objectives and goals in acting. It is necessary to correct any deviation. So this definition is from Hyman. So you are comparing what happened to your plans. Did it happen or hindi po siya nangyari? No? Hindi po naganap yung pinaplano po. The importance of controlling. So first and foremost, it helps organizations achieve their goals in the most effective and efficient manner possible. Again, you see these words, two words, so many times in this subject. Effective and efficient. Number two, it investigates deviations between the actual and the planned performance and determine the reasons why. Ano po bang nangyari? If there is some deviation, gaano man po siya kaliit, or gaano po siya kalaki, you have to check. You have to determine the reasoning behind it. Number three, effective control systems and measures minimize the effects of the negative variance and difference from those initially planned. Yun nga po, control systems and measures minimize these such deviations. It's like prevention, preventing from such scenarios from happening sooner or later. And number four, corrective actions and measures may be put in place to make processes more effective and efficient. Parang naulit lang po. Corrective actions naman po and measures ang naka-ready. And number five, it evaluates past activities. You're checking what happened previously as a frame of reference. Characteristics of control. So what are the characteristics of such process? First, it is a continuing and never-ending activity. Controlling never ends. Just because you already controlled it doesn't mean it will never, it will never happen again. It cannot be prevented. Thus, control is continuing. Yun nga po. So kung naghahanap po kayo ng forever, if you're looking for forever, then control is the answer. Next, it exercises at all levels of management. Hindi lang po yung mga nasa ibaba. Fair and square po ang control. Everyone is affected in the organization. Number three, forward-looking. You're not looking back at the past. You're focusing on the present towards the future. Number four, it's a dynamic process. Hindi po siya one size fits all. It's always changing and changing. Nothing permanent. And five, again, it's a corrective action. You're preventing some things from happening. Hanggat maaari, maiwasan po yung ayaw nyo pong mangyari sa isang organization. And number six, it's people-oriented. Pantay-pantay po tayo sa isang organization. We're all undergoing, just like number 2. Number 7, it is related with planning. Yung plinano mo ba ay halos ganun din po or malapit-lapit, if not better, yung outcome or result when it's already undergoing the controlling process. Steps in the control process. So what are the steps? So first and foremost, you have to establish your standards for performance. You cannot control if you do not know what are your standards. Second, you have to monitor it. Yeah? You cannot just leave it behind. You cannot just let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be. So speaking words of wisdom, you have to monitor what's happening. You have to be always aware. Because as already previously mentioned, controlling is dynamic. Number 3, you have to evaluate what happened to the performance. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it all right? Huh? What happened? How far is it from the deviation, from the plan? Huh? Then number 4, taking the necessary action. And number 5, communicate the results. Of course, you cannot just establish your standards, monitor, evaluate, act without communicating. No? The organization is not silent. It's not mute. You have to communicate the results of what happened in the control process. So here, I will not tell further. So establish standards of performance. So you see that many organizations have a hard time identifying and defining the non-financial measurements. Yun po yung pinakamahirap eh. No? Sa financial kasi, it's already there. You know already pretty much the answer. But non-financial is a bit more difficult to gauge. Performance standards are the criteria to measure the outcomes. So in order to evaluate and reward employees effectively for the achievement of standards, managers need clear standards that reflect activities that contribute to the organization's overall strategy in a significant way. Continuation. Standards should be defined clearly and precisely. That standard must be known. It must be defined clearly so that their deviations will be minimized, if not eradicated, so that the employees will know what they need to do. And they themselves will be able to determine whether their activities are right on target. Thus, they vary according to the specific functions and responsibilities of the different departments or groups in an organization. So next lesson, we will be discussing the different specializations in an organization, the functional units. We will discuss it in detail. Thus, different performance standards are set for the line departments, such as the Human Resources Department, your HRM, the Marketing, the Operations, Finance and Accounting, and the Management and Information System group, among many others. Number 2, monitor the performance. Managers gather relevant data to monitor performance. Relevant, it's the key word. Hindi po rubbish data. They organize and synthesize the data into meaningful information. Makabuluhan, ibig po sabihin ng meaningful. Or may kahulugan, no? If you want to make it more simpler. Monitoring systems nowadays use information technology, so IT, for greater speed, efficiency, and accuracy in data collection, processing, and dissemination. No? IT is the key. in this day and age. Ganun po, kahalaga ang IT. It just shows how IT has become invaluable after so many years. Number 3, evaluate this performance to standards. So as managers track activities, they analyze the results by comparing their actual performance with the performance standards set earlier. Nga po, no? Actual versus yung plan. It's like when you're building a house, no? Meron kang plano. And then, once na natayo na yung structure, your house, your building, whatever you want to call it, no? You will see the difference between planned and as-built. No? In this case, the actual is the as-built. And there are so many possible reasons why the actual performance deviates, whether for the better or for worse, in contrast to sa planned results. The evaluation points out any gap in performance and guides managers in deciding on the best course of action to take. You're evaluating to make your decision making much easier. Hindi po ganun nakasakit sa ulo. Again, just because you made the best decision, it doesn't mean it will lead to the best outcome. But at least you have a reasoning, a rationale as to why you chose that said course of action to take. Number 4, do the required action or intervention. So based on the results of the evaluation of performance, managers must determine and undertake the necessary actions. Nakapag-decide ka na, you were able to choose from the number of options and you were able to make the said decision. So now, it's no longer the time to decide, but rather to act. Kilos na po. Or intervention, maharangan mo po yung deviation or error, worst case. Corrective or preventive actions must be done to address the performance gaps. Again, there will always be gaps, and these gaps that are identified are the ones that sets the deviations. This requires a timely response to prevent further complications arising from the gaps. Of course, monitoring regularly and timely provides the basis for managerial intervention. Kailangan you have to monitor it all the time. Hindi po pwedeng, ay okay na, no? Time to relax. Netflix and chill. No, it's not that. You have to monitor the task regularly and timely. Routinary, as much as possible, kung pwedeng every hour gawin mo to provide the best interventions and corrective actions. And last, you have to communicate the performance results. The results are consolidated, summarized, and communicated to the key officers such as the production or operations manager and the quality assurance manager for their decision making and planning. This feedback is useful in determining specific areas. Like, let's say when you're working, they give you the feedback. Ano ba yung mga pwede mong i-improve? Of course, there's no perfect employee. There's no perfect system. There's no perfect organization. But you have to at least maintain continuous improvement for further improvement in the control systems. And last, potential investment outlays to improve existing control measures. Again, as I previously mentioned, continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, which must be communicated. It's not just one improvement. No, hindi po pwedeng isa lang. After nun, wala na. Ano mangyayari sa organization? It will perish. Feed forward, concurrent, and feedback controls. So what are feed forward, concurrent, and feedback controls? So feed forward first, then concurrent, then feedback. In a nutshell, feed forward controls solve problems before they occur. Concurrent controls, on the other hand, solve problems while they are occurring. No? On the spot, naggagawa ka na ng paraan, ng solusyon, no? To the problem. Hindi yung tapos na yung problema bago ka kumuha ng paraan. And last is feedback controls. Solve problems after they have occurred. No? Tapos na po. Nahuli na po lahat ng mga kontrabida. No? Nahuli na ng pulis. Ikaw na lang ang gagawa ng paraan kung ano yung mga any improvement, no, for next time. Lesson learned na lang po yan. So let's explain them further. Feed-forward controls are preventive. Iniiwasan mo, no? That are established before the start of work activities. Because they are installed before the actual progress has begun, they solve problems before they occur. Iniiwasan na pong mangyari, no? Kung iniiwasan mong masagasaan ka, then, di ba? Iwas-iwas ka sa mga mabibilis na sasakyan as much as possible. Ganun din po sa organization, no? They have to avoid every obstacle that comes along the way. Concurrent controls, on the other hand, are established during the actual implementation of work activities. They allow people to quickly spot problems and correct them as they happen in real time. No? Habang nangyayari, you're doing the troubleshooting. No? So in essence, concurrent controls are troubleshootings, not troublemaking. Last but not the least, the feedback controls. They are established after the work is completed. No? Nangyari na po lahat. They allow people to evaluate the quality of the product or service. Kamusta naman po mamang service? Pwede po ba ako makahingi ng feedback after it is completed or served to the customer? So here are some of the control methods. You have bureaucratic control, objective control, which is further subdivided into behavior control and output control. Then you have normative control, concerted control, and self-control. So we will not discuss them here, but rather you can search them during your asynchronous time. So here's the balance scorecard. We'll just discuss it shortly. So it's a framework of your desired objectives. What do you want to happen? It derives its name from the need of firms to balance. Quantitative, such as financial ratios, and percentage with qualitative, such as employee morale and business ethics, objectives that are oftentimes used in strategy evaluation. The Balance Scorecard is a comprehensive management control system that balances traditional financial measures with operational measures relating to a company's critical success factors. Now, this is how you identify your organization's critical success factors through the Balance Scorecard. And I'll show you an example. So you have here the financial, internal, learning and growth, and the customers. This is an example of Southern Airlines balance scorecard. So you have here their objectives, measures, targets, and initiatives, financial, customer, internal, and learning. I'll just pause it for a while to let you see it a little longer, or you can just pause the video later. And then performance metrics. Financial performance. So the main question of financial performance is, how do we look to the owners or shareholders? It reflects a concern that an organization's activities contribute to improving short and long-term financial performance. Customer service, of course, the biggest question of them all. How do the customers see us? We all know that customer is king. So measuring information such as how customers view the organization, and especially the retention and satisfaction is needed. And these data can be collected in a plethora of forms, such as testimonials from customers describing whether the service is superlative or horrible, or from customer surveys. Next is internal business processes. So what must we excel at? So it's focusing more on the operations and production of the organization. And last, the learning and growth. Can we continue to improve and create value? Again, there's no such thing as a perfect organization, but only continuous improvement. Perfection is just a fantasy. It may include things such as employee retention and the introduction of new products. And with that, we have our end of modules. Many thanks. Huh? Any questions, you may add me on YouTube at Forever Zosa. And as always, walang forever pero may forever Zosa. Goodbye.